You can support the Dungeon Masters Dojo in some very simple ways. Be patronizing, like Lou, and become a patron on Patreon and unlock exclusive patron content.
Or if you're like Scott and long-term commitment is an issue, you can buy a Sasaki, shop our merch page for DMD swag, or use our Drive-Thru RPG affiliate link next time you shop Drive-Thru RPG.
Or visit us on the web at thedungeonmastersdojo.com. There, you'll find links to all the above. Don't forget to email us and say hello.
Thanks for listening.
Globunoculus the Vile casts Fireball. You each take... Oh, no. 60 damage. If you make your dex save, it's 30 points.
Are you friggin' kidding me? Mullif is down.
Dory's down.
Gravin is incinerated, you dick.
What you just bore witness to was the dreaded total party kill, or TPK as it's more commonly known. How should DM Scott handle this before Lou breaks his empty beer bottle on the table and shanks him in a fit of berserker rage? We'll soon find out, because it's 5 ways to handle a TPK this week on the Dungeon Masters Dojo.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Masters Dojo podcast. This is a show for game masters and players alike. We hope to bring you tips and tricks to elevate your game and develop the art of dungeon mastery. I'm your host, Louis Aponte, and these are your Dungeon Masters, Scott Labby and Bill Robitaille. Let's enter the dojo and see what they have in store for us today.
Hey, Sin. Hey, Bill.
Hi, Lou.
Hey, Lou.
He did it again. He's a dick.
Have you noticed a trend? All these 5 ways to always seem to end up with Scott being a dick.
Yep.
Dick is kind of a harsh word.
Not for you, it's not.
I mean, you should have...
I can spell it out for you.
Would you prefer being a penis?
Oh, sorry, would you prefer like, fucking phallus?
That's a little better.
Wow, TPKs.
Yeah, we have one of our players and our roadie with us. Yeah, we're that big. We have a roadie.
Yay.
Sin. Hi, Sin.
Hey, next time, a little bit more money on the front end.
Yeah, well, that's a Lou question.
That's actually a Bill question. He's financial. I'm not.
It's easier to get money out of Bill.
You might as well try squeezing a rock to get water out of it.
Oh, I love the new help. All right.
The TPK.
TPK.
It happens. Not as often as it used to, but it's still a thing. It can be crushing to players and DMs alike. The players have spent time navigating the campaign. You carefully prepared for them, only to have all that hard work and enjoyment stripped from them. DMs, you've spent so much time and energy writing and running the campaign. The defeat is real for you as well. So how does one handle the dreaded TPK? Well, we're going to tell you.
So tell us.
Number 1 should be don't let DM Bill run the table.
But actually, it's DM Scott now. He's been doing this to us regularly.
This is true. He's picked up my mantle.
Everything except for the twins.
Yeah, well, it's the pointy end of the sword, Lou. You have to remember that. Yeah, not the blunt end.
The TPK sucked. So let's reflect on what had happened. Maybe first off, did you make the encounter too difficult? And if you should you fix it?
Yeah, look at that encounter, right? Did you throw an encounter in there that was supposed to be a combat encounter? I think that's the key word.
Yeah.
And was it just too difficult for the party? Did you kind of railroad them into a fight that they couldn't have won?
Was the big bad unveiled too early?
Yep, yeah. That's one of those things we've said before. You never want to unveil the big bad too early because it's uneventful. It's not impactful.
Right.
And everybody could die.
There should be layers of minions becoming more and more difficult as you move your way up, which builds the suspense, builds the drama, and it also gives the game master a chance to gauge just how difficult their encounters are being.
That's what I was just going to say, because I know when I was running Elandra's library, I had to when you guys came into that room, the ones with the death skulls.
Yep.
I actually had to tone them, realize how much they did ahead of time to tone them down because they would have TPK'd the group.
Yeah, very.
So if you
potentially,
don't
yeah.
understand your monsters, that's where your problem's going to be as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you really have to know what you just can't open the book, close your eyes, and flip to a page and stick your finger on an entry. You have to give it some thought. If you're running a first level adventure and you show your big bad, who was the guy who was supposed to be at the end, there's a problem. If the next stage of your journey is dependent on this encounter and you put something in there way too difficult for the players to defeat, or if you railroad them into combat, then that is a DM problem and not necessarily a player problem. And that's something I think you as the DM have to fix.
Absolutely. Because it wasn't the dice rolls. It wasn't bad play. It wasn't bad decisions for the players. It was a bad decision for the game master.
Absolutely.
So yeah, fix it. I don't care if it's a dream sequence or it turns out to be an illusion, and there's this, little gnome in the corner with the robes and the gem, necklace, just cackling, and all of a sudden poof, disappears, and everyone's perfectly fine. Going, all right, what the hell was that?
Yeah, you have
and
to.
It just gives you that was a taste of what's coming. Ha ha ha! Boink, gone.
Yeah, you have to really do some creative improvisation if you want to kind of fix it and still maintain some credibility with your story.
It's not going to be easy.
It's
not going to be easy, but
it's not.
You got to fix it.
There's a lot of backpedaling that needs to be done.
Right.
And you do have to fix it because it's going to ruin a lot of fun for your players. And this is something even experienced GMs will run up against sometimes, but more frequently, I would suspect that it happens with brand new GMs, especially if they're doing a homebrew adventure.
Yeah.
Something
I'll
that
take
they've
the
written.
Tarrasque off my random encounter list.
That is, yes, take the Tarrasque off the random encounter list. Even if it is a 5th edition Tarrasque, which has been substantially nerfed.
Oh, it's just a pissed off lizard now. I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, it's not the world breaking kaiju that it used to be, and it still should be. So if you're running a Tarrasque, take the stats from like 2nd edition or something.
Or just take everything and quadruple it.
Yeah. Because a pretty solid high level party could defeat it in a couple rounds, and that wasn't always the case. But I guess that's another episode, right? The nerfing of the Tarrasque. Criminal.
Should not have been done, but it was, and like I said, that's for another episode. So, I mean, we've mentioned a couple things. How do you go about fixing a TPK? I mean, that is your fault. I mean, we've touched on it a little bit already, but we definitely know you should. And we've mentioned a couple ways, whether you do the obligatory dream sequence or an illusion. But I mean, what else could we pull out of our mystical little hats here and to kind of fix a TPK?
Well, the old standby is bring the party down to 0 hit points, and then now they're the prisoner of whoever that big bad is or whoever that encounter was. How you work that is something, up to the DM, and you really have to give some thought to how it fits in with your campaign. So you may have to call the session to give yourself a little bit of time to fix the damage you have wrought.
I don't think you may have to. I think you should.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of thought. Because like you said, you can do that way. There's also, you can do where the big bad and his minions leave your party there in the battlefield, and there's divine intervention.
Left for Dead.
Yeah.
Another one I like to use is you slip a little note to your rogue real quick. You have 3 hit points. You're feigning death. And give him the out where he can kind of slink off into the shadows. And then when they are left for dead or they are taken prisoner, give them the ability to follow. And, the dice don't, they've won. They're not paying attention to anything. They're just follow them. Do the old Bilbo Baggins, and then you got someone that can kind of pick the locks and get them out. And all right, let's get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, bust them out before their dinner.
Yeah. And so you got that route to go as well.
And leaving them for dead too isn't a bad idea. It's why would you, when you look at it, whoever your foe is, why would they carry a bunch of corpses with them? I mean, it's they're dead. I'm going to leave them where they fell, and that's it.
And that's why I like the divine intervention. You know, you could bring up your party healer, and the party healer can take it from there. You know, because he's the one who should have the divine intervention.
Right. Provided you have a party healer.
Yes.
Because now everybody heals, so it's not mandatory to have a cleric.
Well, with all the classes that can now resurrect, you got your monk, you got your paladin, you got your cleric.
Yeah, pick the one that seems to work the best and you know, give them the godly tickle and say, here you go, you know, figure something out.
Even something that is not as extravagant or fantastic as a divine intervention, maybe a healer from a local village happens upon the party and finds they're not all dead. They may be like knocking on death's door.
Mostly dead.
Yeah. And through herbs and tinctures and the whatnot, they can stabilize them long enough so that they're on the mend. You know, then opens up the door to an NPC ally as well.
You can do the old convoy came by, even if it isn't a healer, someone who had enough common sense to bind the wounds and kind of stabilize them, and then they wake up somewhere completely different, a town, a village, you know, even just a cottage, something where there's a small group of people that kind of nurse them back. Oh, you've been out for days.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
now
fever.
Now the time is, you know, you can give them little dream sequences, and while you're doing this, you can try to figure it out in your head. All right, now how am I gonna get them back on plot? But in the meantime, this will buy you a little bit of time and let them interact with the NPCs. And, oh, you've been out for days. This one here we swore was dead. You're going to have to stay for at least a couple more days, because we don't have any really magic healing. The best we can do is what we've done, and give them a couple long rests to kind of get up and running for everybody. And that'll give you a little bit of time to step and fetch as the game master to figure out how you're going to get them back on track.
It's easy if they drop on the battlefield.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why people would happen across a battlefield. One of them being, well, there's a lot of dead people here and they have stuff.
Hey, look at the circle of birds.
Yeah.
That usually means a corpse or something. And there's a lot of them, which means something big happened. Let's go check it out.
Yeah, we'll grab some of their stuff that we can use or sell or whatever have you, and they're dead. They won't need it. They happen to cross the party, and instead of letting them just kind of bleed out and die, they're like, these folks are alive still. Let's take them back and render some aid to them. If it happens in an encounter, say in the woods or in the wilderness somewhere, it could be a hunter or a woodcutter or
a ranger.
Yeah, someone collecting mushrooms for dinner that happens upon them. And villages and towns have healers. They're probably not clerics.
No, but they are. Yeah, there's usually a healer, a wise woman, a midwife, somebody that has some kind of medical background.
So there are outs to fix that, and you really have to think on your toes. Mm-hmm. And as Lou said, if you don't, you probably should call the session there and resume next week so that you have time to figure it out and how you're going to get the party back on track.
All right, so that's how the game master handles it. What if it's the player's fault? I mean, do we let it happen?
Yeah, if it's the player's fault, let it happen. If there's some foolishness that occurs and a TPK happens, then I would let it happen. And the only reason I say that is because if you don't let it happen, then that level of tomfoolery is going to it's going to continue.
Oh, and accelerate.
Yeah,
it's first it's just two people that are being idiots, and then someone else joins in. The next thing you know, the whole table is nothing but a whole. It becomes tomfoolery.
Yeah, they're throwing snowballs at the hobgoblin encampment, or they're purposefully poking the dragon or walking into the dragon's lair and trying to rummage through their belongings, whatever have you.
You get the dwarf on the hillside mooning the orcs going by, going, they'll never get up here.
Yep.
Oops.
Yeah. Oh, bows, arrows.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about those.
Yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn, but it is a necessary one. I think if you want to keep your players on track and to let them know that there is a great deal of mortality that is involved in the game, and making good choices will keep you alive. Making poor choices will result in everybody being dead.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. You got to talk to your players about what happened, how it happened, to frame the incident and say, this is the stupid stuff you guys did. This is why it happened. You don't moon 100 orcs on a hillside thinking they're not going to take notice of that. You don't go, see if you can tickle your dragon's nose because there's a big honking ass gem wedged up there, and if I just give him a tickle and he sneezes, I can grab it. He'll never know. Point it out.
Yeah, one of my favorites, and I've seen this happen numerous times before, and I've had a lot of players that were pretty pissed off because their characters ended up dead, was acting the fool in a town where I'm going to take what I want and I'll like brutalize the townsfolk or people in the city because I'm a player, and well, there's laws and there's rules, and you'll come up against the city guard. And I've said it before, in my towns, the city guard are always retired soldiers or adventurers. They're capable. They're not first level.
I don't need to do this anymore. It's dangerous. And I met a nice girl here. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to have this. Meanwhile, there's this 9th level fighter, the bartender that has the sword above the bar. Why do you think it's there? It's not just decoration.
Yeah,
it should be a warning.
Yeah, and maybe they're older. They're not as young and foolish as they were before, but they're even more dangerous than they were in their 20s or 30s.
Experience is a wonderful thing, and capability along with that can compensate for age really quick.
Yeah, and sometimes if you have a party that is just gone off the rails and they're doing all that crazy stuff, they need a quality ass whooping as a result.
I've hung entire parties for doing exactly that. After warnings, don't do this, they got beat up a few times, and finally they got arrested, their stuff taken from them, put on trial, and were hung. The whole party. And they're like, yeah, we're going to get saved now. No, you're dead. You're dangling from your neck with a piece of rope. You are suffocating. Everything's turning, the field of view is getting smaller. Everything's turning purple. Now it's black.
You lose control of your bowels.
Yes. And
that happens.
You're dead. So I'll take all those character sheets. Here's some blank ones. Start making new ones. Maybe the next round of idiocy will teach you, to not do that. I've hung entire parties.
That doesn't surprise me.
Because they've kept doing dumb shit. So, yeah, if it's their fault, let it happen. Explain to them why. If the TPK happened during the first tier of gameplay, let it happen if it wasn't the DM's fault.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time invested in the characters.
Right.
And it sucks to lose a character, but if it's a first level character, big deal. Third, fourth, second, not that bad. You don't start getting really the juicy stuff until you start hitting the top of, your next tier.
Yeah.
And it's just let it happen. It's easy to roll up a new character when it's a lower level.
And once again, if it isn't the game master's fault and the players are the ones that caused it, then okay. Hopefully that's lesson learned.
Hopefully.
Or maybe just the dice went south.
When you're looking at like a 10th level party, that's when it really, really, really hurts. And you may get some rage quitting at the table. Someone may have to go get some air because you've put a lot of time and effort into the character. And I know people that they know exactly what their character is going to look like at 20th level because they've plotted it all out.
Yep. That's
Tons of planning. Yeah, tons.
Well, I know Sin here will pull out a first level character, and then the next one at 4th, the next one at 8th, the next one at 12th, already worked up, and it hasn't even made the table yet.
Yep.
Because I've seen the character sheets.
So there's a lot of that planning that goes into it, and once you've achieved all those things and your character's kind of fleshed out, it's hard to lose it. The first level characters are kind of like new characters on a TV series. You know, you're just being introduced to these characters. They haven't really been fleshed out too much. They didn't put a lot of time, effort, or energy really into them because they didn't know if the pilot was going to take off. But by the time your second or third season of the TV shows airing, you have a lot of substantial background and character development and
Character interaction.
And it's hard. And it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch your character get killed, but then it's hard to watch your entire party bite it.
Yeah. It's even worse if you're the reason.
Yes.
If your tomfoolery as a player precipitates this, it's like, oh, okay, or that dwarf on the hillside once again. Everyone's like, what are you doing? Oh, he's just taking a crap over the hillside. Nope, he's mooning the orcs. And next thing you know, there's orcs piling up top going, why did you do that? I don't like orcs.
Yeah, and that's something, you address the table about, and then you address the player.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that, and I've had players that have done stupid stuff consistently. Every character is just that way, and
Yeah.
that's a player issue that has to be addressed as well.
Sin, how many characters have you been party of a TPK?
Let's see, 3 over the 30 years.
A game master's fault or player's fault?
2 of them were the player's fault. One was an all-out assault on the rest of the party. So we put him in his place real quick and killed the next 3 characters as soon as they came out.
There you go. Sometimes the table will take care of it for you.
And it's true. I've seen that happen. I've been in a situation where one of the rare times I was actually playing and not running, we had a player that was problematic. Well, his character was problematic, but he in general was problematic, and the rest of the party just had enough because they kept getting their asses handed to them for the dumb stuff that character did, and we just bounced on him. It was like when Dave Mustaine got kicked out of Metallica. Pretty much, they were just like, "Here's your bus ticket. See ya."
You wake up in the morning in the motel room and everyone and everything's gone.
Yeah,
except for your spare pair of shoes, a shirt, and a silver piece.
I think we stuck him with the bill for the inn too, just to be petty. On top of that,
the guy in the room, he's got it. He's got all the money.
Thing, yeah,
he's got all the money.
Good.
He's got it. So we'll wait for him outside. Bounce. If the TPK happens at the end of the campaign, once again, let it happen, but give the party the big send off.
Yeah, make it epic.
Make it huge. Make it
cinematic.
There you go. Epic and cinematic. Those are the magic words.
Yeah, you want explosions and fire and blood and gore.
And you get out the soapboxes. Give everyone a moment to monologue.
Yep.
But yeah, make it big. Make it big.
Because at that point in time, the TPK becomes something that can be celebrated and not mourned, right? The whole party died to defeat the big bad and, erect statues, give them that send off. You got to have, if that happens, you got to have an epilogue on what happens after they're dead and buried or set ablaze in a funeral pyre, but make sure that there's bards singing songs of their heroism and maybe a statue.
Yeah. 100 years later, there's a father explaining to his son, why this statue of these people is in the middle of the town. And, and this is what happened. And this is who they saved. And the town's here because of this. I'm here because of this, because your great-great-grandfather fought alongside of them. Or, and just give it that, I want to be just like them. Someday you just might be.
Yeah, maybe.
And there's the the seed that starts the next series.
Yep, and maybe the town is now a city. Maybe that child becomes one of the adventurers in your next campaign.
Right.
But you gotta you got to make it big though. If the TPK is happening, and you can usually see, when the train is about to wreck.
Yeah, because by that point, it's already too late. TPKs are tricky because they can sneak up on you really fast.
Yeah, all it is a fireball and a series of bad saves and loose characters incinerated.
Yeah, which is kind of like ironic if you think about it.
Yeah,
Still a
usually
dick move.
it's usually Lou incinerating everything else.
yeah, it's poetic irony. Sooner or later it's gonna come around and bite you in the backside.
Wow. Okay, Sin, you got anything you want to interject here? TPKs.
Don't do it again.
Don't do it again. And probably the best advice you'll get out of this entire episode. Don't do it again.
If you're the player and you see a TPK coming and it's your fault, don't do it again.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sin. That's a bumper sticker.
you'll lose friends.
Glad to help out the bumper sticker store end.
There you go.
Yep. We'll have to put that up in our stores.
And that's 5 ways to handle a TPK. We'll see you next time in the dojo.
That's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe to the podcast for more great content. If you'd like to hear a particular topic, you can reach us on Facebook at the Dungeon Masters Dojo, or you can drop us an email at thedungeonmastersdojo@gmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.